Okay, you guys, for the love of all that is sweet and holy, I have recorded this video 5 times. I'm not kidding. And I cannot make myself stop talking. So the video ends up being crazy long. It's kind of ridiculous. So, here we go again, and I looked so much cuter the other times I recorded it, but of course today, the day started off well. I had cuteness going on, did my makeup, you know, had my hair done nice, but as the days progressed, Sophie's got a summer cold, so she's just, every time she sneezes, it's like mucus fest, whoosh, everywhere, and it's like totally clear, normal looking snot, but you know, it's all over the place, so guess who's, you know, also been covered in it a bit. And then we got her this whole new crazy pool thing that I'm looking at down below in our backyard, and anyway, trying to set that up for her and got yeah. So let's get into this. I want to talk about the double stroller, you guys, because the double stroller was a thorn in my side. I made the double stroller into this big huge mountain of a problem. I basically, you know, it was ridiculous how much time and energy, emotional energy, I invested into this stupid double stroller. And I can tell you, we finally picked a double stroller, and I know in hindsight that it was probably not the double stroller that was bothering me. I was, all of the, you know, excitement and anxiety and anticipation of the new baby, and I was focusing that kind of energy that I was feeling into picking the right double stroller for the right price. So it became this crazy big ordeal, right? Which is why I can't stop talking, it seems, every time I record this video, because I keep going into my emotion about it. So, I've already talked for 2 minutes, and I'm going to keep track on my phone and figure this out. So let me just like start. So there you guys know, that was my emotional state with picking this double stroller. So basically, the first double stroller I was interested in was the Britex Be Ready. And the reason why is because I go out a lot with Sophia, and I plan on doing the same thing with Sophie and Grayson. And I go to places like the mall. So I knew that I would be in shops and things like that. So really, the long double strollers, which get good reviews, a lot of them get really great reviews, they're really comfortable for the kids, etc. I knew that those weren't going to be the best option for me. Nor were the double wides, the ones side by side. Most of those wouldn't be great, right? So I was like, well, what else is there, you know? And that's when I discovered the whole idea of these stacked modular strollers. And by that I mean that they're kind of like stadium seating type of thing. Like there's seats like kind of on top of each other. So basically they're single strollers that convert to double strollers. And then in addition to that, the seats will face any way you want, and they're cool strollers, right? So I really liked the Britex one because I love their car seats, and so, you know, I think they're a really good quality brand, and I saw that they had one that was getting really great reviews, and so I was like, oh, what's this stroller all about? So I went and like looked at it online, and it looked amazing, and I was like, wow. And it was cool because you could have 2 toddlers facing any way you wanted, facing each other, facing out, facing opposite. You could have a bassinet, you could have an infant carrier, all this stuff, right? And I was like, that stroller's amazing, but it could also be a single stroller, which is really cool. So I kind of had my heart set on that one. But then I wanted to go see it in person because it was expensive, and I was like, I'm not spending that much money on something until I go and check it out in person. So before I had a chance to do that, I also discovered that Baby Jogger City Select was also really awesome, and I was like, ooh, well, that one's nice too, and it also had really good reviews, and they cost the same. So I was like, well, they're the same cost, let me go check them both out. And so anyway, eventually Kyle and I made it out to some place that actually carried them, because a lot of places, for example, Our Babies Are Us, they sell them, but not in the store. It's like online only. So it was kind of like, so I had to go to, you know, the more expensive stores to look at them. But anyway, finally made it out, and I looked at them and looked at a lot of other strollers too. You guys, I've looked at so many double strollers that it is ridiculous, including the ones that are ridiculously expensive and I would never even consider, the ones that are moderately expensive that I'm kind of like, and then the ones that are a lot better priced. I've looked at all of them. So anyway, so went and looked. So then basically I couldn't decide between the two. because there would be one positive about one, and then, you know, and a negative about this, and then the other one would have an opposite negative and a positive in a different way. So I was like pro-conning it, and I was watching reviews, and Baby Gizmo does really good reviews, and both the reviews for both the strollers were like phenomenal. So I was like, they're both great. And then it was just like, there were certain things, aspects, like the Britex Be Ready, the second seat is down low, so I was like, well, what if the kid doesn't like to be down low? But then I had a lot of mothers telling me that the children get used to it, plus just because I think she won't like it doesn't mean she wasn't. Anyway, I was overthinking it, and I was like, well, I like that the City Select sits up higher, but then, so that was in favor of the City Select, but then on the other hand, the Britex, the actual the engineering and the stability of it was better than the City Select. So there was positive and negatives to both of them, and I was like, oh, I couldn't make up my mind. So then after a while, we realized that, let me check my time, we realized that really the strollers, bottom line, were too expensive for our budget. They just were too expensive. We just couldn't justify spending that much money. So then I was like, I just poured well over a month, like 2 months even, of time into researching these strollers, only to come to the conclusion that they were too expensive. So it was very annoying. I was like, oh. So then I started trying to expand my options, and then I was at a Playgrid at the mall, and I found the Combi and their little double wide stroller, and this mom told me that it would fit through doors, and she said it was a little awkward, but if you took it head on, and the stroller was really sharp, and blah blah blah, and I was like, ooh. So I went home, and sadly, it is not compatible with my infant carrier, so I wouldn't have been able to use it with that, and I didn't want to return my infant carrier, and I was like, but then while I was looking at stuff on it, and it was a good price too, I discovered that the, once again, Baby Jogger, their City Mini Double had even better reviews and was even slightly narrower, and it would have an adapter that would fit with mine. Plus, it was less than the City Select, so I was like, okay, maybe I can deal with this one. You know, people say it's a little awkward when you're in, you know, tight stores and things, but every stroller has a negative and a positive. None of them were perfect, so I was like, this one sounds pretty good. So I was kind of willing to do it. I also started looking more at the long ones. You know, there's a Graco one that everybody seems to love, and a Colecraft one that everybody loves, but they were just so long that I was like, felt like I was pushing a bus. However, I will say that they had tons of basket space, were super sturdy, and it looked like the kids would be crazy comfortable. So I still thought they were really good strollers. I was just kind of like, oh, sorry guys. I was just kind of like, they didn't seem perfect for me, you know what I mean? So for my lifestyle, and all the double, you know, joggers and all those were too big, and it was just annoying. So I kind of was like, okay, I think I'm going to do the Baby Jogger City Mini Double, whatever it was, Mini Double. But then, before I would commit to buying it, I just kept being troubled, because as neat as a stroller as it was, and as much better the price that it was, it just wasn't what I wanted. I had my heart set on either that Britex Be Ready or the Baby Jogger City Select. Both of those strollers are awesome. But they're just so expensive, you know? And I know for some people they probably don't seem that expensive, but they seemed expensive to us. I think if we had bought them for the first baby, which we couldn't have even done with the Britex Be Ready because it wasn't out, but if we had bought it for the first baby and then been able to use it as a single stroller and then added onto it, I would have thought the price was more justified. But since we're buying it as a second stroller, you know, now, it's just expensive, you know? And the thing is like Kyle and I always say, you know, you can have money to buy something. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's smart consumerism to go ahead and get it. Do you know what I mean? So just because you have the money doesn't mean you necessarily should be spending it. And Kyle and I, you know, we were kind of just like, that's a lot of money. Can we justify spending that on a stupid stroller? So I was sad. Like, ridiculously sad, because I just put a lot of time into researching the good strollers and da-da-da-da-da. Like I said, a stupid amount of time. I will totally admit it. But then I got kind of smart. So I started kind of bargain shopping for them, and you couldn't really find, there's not very many used ones that you can buy, because the strollers are both new enough that most people aren't selling theirs yet. Because I would totally buy a used one from someone I thought, you know, seemed trustworthy. But it wasn't even really an option. So then I started scouring places like eBay, right? And for the most part, on eBay, I could get both those strollers for $100 cheaper than they sold. But that was still more than I thought we wanted to spend, because both of the strollers make you buy the add-on separately. And so the price really adds up. But then finally I got super smart and I started looking at the completed listings on eBay and figuring out what's the cheapest that anybody's ever sold one of these for that was in good shape, you know? And at first when I was searching, I was finding really great deals on the baby jogger. So I was kind of leaning towards that one because it was selling, I was getting better prices on it, you know? But then one time when I was rechecking for the Britex one, I found this one company that had sold a new Britex Be Ready for $200. The stroller is $499 retail, right? And I was like, in just one time. All the other times they'd sold it for more, right? But this one time, they had a name your best offer bid, and so they had been willing to part with it for that price. And it wasn't in bad shape, it wasn't used, it wasn't anything. So I was like, they were willing to do it once, maybe they would do it again. So then I got even smarter and I figured out that if you were willing to get a color that wasn't as popular, like basically the black ones always sell for really close to retail price. But if you were willing to get a red one or a green one or a silver one, you could get better deals because those weren't as popular. But to me, I was like, hello, I don't care if the stroller is red. You know, it's like an awesome stroller. And so that wasn't a big deal to me. You know, if it is a big deal to you, then it might be worth the money to spend more, but it wasn't to me. So basically, I bid my time, I kept an eye on everything, and I finally one day they put one up. It was listed for over a month, for like a month-long listing, like 28 days or something. And I waited, and it was a green one. So I was like, okay, so green's not as popular. And it was you know, it was like they had a buy it now price or a your best offer. And so I waited and it never sold and it never sold. And the day before the auction was going to end, the evening before, I put in a really lowball price of $200. Alright? I was like, I'll lowball them. And this was a brand new one. It was brand new, just open box, but brand new. So I was not going to, I told myself I wasn't going to be upset if they didn't take my offer. But I figured they'd done it one time before, so maybe I'd get lucky. So the next morning, and I thought since I did it at the last minute and they hadn't sold, maybe they would decide, you know what, we'd rather sell it to somebody for that price than have it sitting in our warehouse. And so the next morning they hadn't gotten back to me yet, and then a couple hours later I checked again and they accepted my offer. Yeah, I totally got a brand new Britex Be Ready stroller for $200. Yes! Like really, like what? So anyway, that was my happy ending. And basically, the point to all of this is that, one, don't fixate on stuff like I did because that was ridiculous. I was totally channeling other anxieties and things into this double stroller thing and made it into too big of a deal. But besides that issue, just back to actually purchasing something expensive like that, if you are willing to, one, if you're open to other colors, two, you are willing to heavily research and be patient. Like, you patiently wait. You can find really good deals. And let me tell you guys that I found there was a lot of promotions going on during the time when I was buying the stroller. Like, Britex had this really great promotion where you bought a Britex Be Ready and you got the second toddler seat, an infant carrier, or the bassinet for free. That's a really good deal. That still did not come to the savings that I had. I still got a better deal. And at the same time, I found one site that was doing 20% off of baby joggers, right? I still came out ahead. And so even some of the sales and promotions that these sites do you can even beat those deals sometimes, right? So yeah, that's my thing. Just be smart about it, you know. Be patient, and you can kind of, sometimes you can, you know, get your dream stroller or whatever it is for a much better deal. And I'm super happy, right? And it was also nice, it was a nice way to end something that was silly. Me fixating on something silly, that I can totally admit that. But like I said, I got a happy ending with it, and that is that I got a really awesome stroller for such a good deal. Great. So there we go. And, you know, whenever you shop at places like eBay, or if you're looking for something used, you know, just be smart about it. Make sure the person you're buying from is really awesome. I like buying from eBay because eBay has this buyer protection thing where you're completely protective if something's weird with your item. I bought mine from an actual warehouse, so I knew mine was going to be good. You know, their ratings were perfect, and sure enough, my stroller came and it had not even been it looked like someone had opened the box to check out the color of the stroller. Like the original styrofoam and everything was still, the stroller had that new stroller smell. I mean, it had not even been, you know, it was perfect. And so, yeah, very good. And you know what else? I like it in green. I think it looks great. So, yeah, there we go. That's my crazy double stroller story. And in addition to that, if you have any questions about a double stroller, there's a good chance that I have actually physically touched it and checked it out. So you can ask me if you want advice about some specific brand, and I'll tell you if I've messed with it, because I have messed with a lot of them. I even had sales clerks who were putting weight into the strollers so I could test how durable they were when they were fully loaded and things like that. Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm normally more relaxed than that about stuff. But anyway, alright guys, that's my crazy story. I know it was long, but trust me, this video has been shorter than my other ones. So there we go. Alright, bye guys.